As the Biden administration continues to collapse, imploding into the morass of its own incompetence and incoherence,
Everybody thought I was a little nuts.
it seems the embattled president has decided on the defense he plans on using from this point forward.
Take a look at what I inherited when I came into office. The state of affairs and where we were. Of things that were landed on my plate. I'm not complaining. It's just a reality.
Ah, yes, it wasn't him that did it. He inherited all of these problems. Call it the Shaggy defense.
Wasn't me.
Afghanistan in shambles?
Wasn't me.
U.S. economy in freefall.
Wasn't me.
Vaccine mandate outrage.
Wasn't me.
Immigration cataclysm.
Wasn't me.
You know, it's a funny thing about Shaggy's song. The premise was humorous because the unfortuitous situation that the lead character found himself in was clearly of his own making, and it was utterly absurd to pretend otherwise. And the same is true here, of course. President Biden can point fingers all he wants at the previous administration, but there is no serious soul, that is, a person who refuses to be a cheap, bitter partisan, that would attempt to deny these truths. President Biden did not inherit a Haitian refugee crisis. President Biden didn't inherit policies vaporizing 7 children and an entire family with a drone. President Biden didn't inherit a smear campaign of our country's overworked border patrol, which has been put in an impossible scenario. President Biden didn't inherit China flexing its muscles, sending fighter planes directly at Taiwan. President Biden didn't inherit record highs in producer price inflation. President Biden didn't inherit a devastatingly low jobs report and an employment crisis that has been sparked by rewarding people for not working. President Biden did not inherit grotesque policies that treat motherhood like it's an obstacle, a curse, or a barrier to personal fulfillment. President Biden didn't inherit a vaccine mandate that strains constitutional fidelity and that actually weakens the effort for vaccination. President Biden didn't inherit a record surge in gas prices precipitated by an inexplicable decision to shut down environmentally safe pipeline projects. President Biden didn't inherit desperate Afghans plunging 1,000 feet to their deaths after clinging to the landing gears of evacuating military planes. President Biden didn't inherit shooting wars between Israel and its neighbors, including the newly emboldened Hamas terrorist ring. President Biden didn't inherit politically motivated denial of COVID medication and treatments to states led by the opposing party. President Biden didn't inherit drug cartels moving their smuggling operations from Mexico into Texas border cities because of a porous border. And President Biden didn't inherit Taliban officials bringing back amputations as a necessary approach to law enforcement. Look, I get that pointing fingers and blaming the other guy is a hallmark of politics. It's second nature to politicians, but it's also the antithesis of real leadership. And if there was ever a question of which of those two things, leader or politician, that we have in the White House right now, our president's newly adopted 2-word slogan
Wasn't me.
pretty much answers that question.